Should be right.
We just should get our hearing tested, I guess.
Yeah, it might be that. It might be this now podcasting for a while. It's just dulled our hearing. All right, we'll kick in and we'll go from there.
Playing hard, playing tough, just plain good is not good enough. We're gonna show you what league's all about. If there's a lesson to be learned, we're handing it out. This game is our game. This town is our town. Turn the heat up and listen to the crowd.
Good evening and welcome to the Joust. My name is Nagy. I'm here as always with my co-host Liam McNeil. But Jousters, we have a very special guest for you tonight, a true champion both on and off the field. He now heads up the Mark Hughes Foundation, raising millions of dollars for the brain cancer research. He's a two-time premiership winner and reportedly has shoulders like a brown snake. We got Mark Hughes. Boozey, thanks for joining us.
Great to be here, boys. And hearing that song, I wanted to warm the shoulders up. I wanted to run onto that paddock. It brings back great memories here in that.
Doesn't it make you feel so much?
It makes a lot of people. It would bring back a lot of great memories to a lot of people. You know, you'd charge on the field, 20,000 Novocastrians. Wow, it was good stuff.
Yes, a feeling that Nagy and I are very used to.
Yeah, charging on the
Charging
field.
out in front of large crowds and getting yelled at.
Yeah, getting booed off. But I got that right. Was it shoulders of a brown snake? The Herald might have mentioned on before '97.
Yeah, so I remember '97 like it was yesterday, and such a huge event. We got down to the Crown Plaza at Coogee Bay, and it was the morning of the game. I bounced out of bed. I was 20 at the time. It was about my 10th first grade game. So I've charged down to the breakfast area. This was my big day. I couldn't believe I was there. I was feeling on top of the world. And as I get down, there's the group of the boys all around a table, and they're reading a newspaper and looking at me, a bit of laugh. So I start to walk over a little nervously, and they pass the newspaper over to me, and I start reading, and it's a profile on both teams, you know, and it's Robbie O'Davis, amazing step and sidestepping, and Andrew Johns, best passer, you know, in the business, Paul Harrigan, enforcer, Adam Muir, amazing edge runner, and then it had Mark Hughes, shoulders like a brown snake. That wasn't the best way. So I choked on my Cocoa Pops and thought I gotta get on with this, but
Proved them wrong anyway. So
yeah, that's right. We got through it.
Now, Mark, I'm interested to hear that. Now, the game's obviously changed quite a fair bit, but Cocoa Pops on the day of the grand final, did that come from Mal Reilly? Who gave that tip? Was there a nutritionist involved?
The nutritionists weren't in as much then, so you had a bit more freedom with your food. I used to love the away games. You'd get the big smorgasbord of food, but you know, you would. Probably exaggerating of Cocoa Pops, but we'd try and eat reasonably well. But it was sometimes tempting to get a little bit of bacon if you're feeling good about yourself. But yeah,
protein. Why wouldn't you?
Excellent. I got to ask about the Mark Hughes Foundation round that we had for beanies of brain cancer just a few rounds ago. How did it all look from your end? How was it? Obviously with huge involvement from all the clubs.
Wow, it was just amazing. The rugby league community as one just got behind it. You know, from Todd Greenberg and the NRL headquarters to the supporters, to them all across all media, and most importantly, the players get right behind it by wearing them on the field and posting them on their Instagrams, and they just get right behind it. So just the fans, everyone got behind it, and it's just a powerful message to send that, you know, rugby league is a great game and we can do some great things together. And it's like a round where sometimes the results of the games don't feel that important, just there's that much goodwill in the grounds. And, you know, I went to Brisbane, I went to Townsville, you know, they were queuing 30 metres long for a beanie in Townsville. They don't need them. Okay, they don't need it, but they were queuing to get one.
Yeah. It's fashion, Hughesy. It's fashion.
Maybe, but that's just the type of attitude people have to that weekend, and it's just amazing.
It's really got to saw a lot of the so many of the players right across you know, with the Channel 9s and the Fox Sports all supporting the beanies as well. And I saw a few of the Nice Boys as well wearing the you know, obviously we've got the gendered beanies for more of a masculine beanie, more of a feminine beanie, but the feminine beanies were sort of making a bit of a look in for some of the blokes as well. I think I saw Joey fancying a pinkish beanie.
Well, the pom-pom is, you know, it's a great accessory. You can put a pom-pom on anything and anyone would look good on it. So it's a genius decision. I like it. I like it a lot.
And a lot of Andrew Johns went for enjoyed the ladies one. And Kalen Pong has been wearing it a lot as well.
He could wear anything and he'd look great.
Yeah, he could wear a potato sack, couldn't he? And this one now, because we've sold out of the females, so this is now a unisex beanie.
Of course, yep.
So for anyone out there looking for them, get on the Mark Hughes Foundation website. We've still got some of these, and they look great and keeps you warm this time of year.
Fantastic. How many did you sell, just out of interest for the...
Well, so I think we last year we sold around 90 to 100,000, and we've just about doubled that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's been a huge campaign. In money terms, I think we're a little bit over $3 million raised.
Oh, my God, that's incredible.
Just enormous. So, that's what happens when everyone just goes as one and has a crack. It's amazing.
It's a bloody great game, rugby league, isn't it?
It is.
Bloody beautiful.
Especially, I think it really encompasses this town, especially because you don't, you feel really part of everything, every win, every loss, everything with the Knights side. So having something like this to bring the rugby league community from all wide to bring it back into that real community base must feel pretty special.
Oh, it feels great. And, I'm walking around Newcastle, beanie, they're everywhere. And I feel like I need to pat and shake every person on the hand that wears one, because I'm that grateful that they're spending their money to support our cause.
I've got to ask, coming back from being a 2-time premiership winner with the Knights, and then being away from the club for a while, and then now coming back in a sort of a very different role around this with the beanies and being an ambassador for the club. How's that feel?
Oh, it feels great, to be just to be making a difference, going to the Knights home games and checking on our corporate supporters and making sure they're having a good day and having a chat about the game. I love doing that sort of stuff, and just thanking them for supporting the club, because a lot of sponsors have put a lot of money into this club for a long time now, and we all know we've had mixed success, particularly in the last 10 to 15 years, but everyone sticks solid, the supporters are sticking solid, and I love just to be a part of the club again, and also, the foundation is something that gives you a lot back in return. It's to know that you're out there making a difference, because I need help, and so many others out there need help.
Fantastic. No, I was also thinking because it's been quite like we heard a lot from you in the last few years, but after leaving the club in 2005, what was the journey like in between that time?
Yeah, I went over. We relocated. I went to France. So
Catalan Dragons, was it? Yeah,
Catalan Dragons, which is in the south of France. And the big reason for that was I'm from Kurri, and I just wanted something that really mirrored my town of Kurri, and I felt south of France was very similar.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can see it. I can see it all right now.
Yeah, so that's why I chose there, and had a wonderful time, and came back, and then I did a sales rep job for Blue Tongue, a Night sponsor. I then set up a business and did really well in that for about 8 years, and things was all running along really well for me, and I sold the business last year. So now I'm as a volunteer, I work for the foundation. I'm looking to do corporate speaking and different things like that for a bit of money here and there, and I'm very lucky that the Knights support me as an ambassador.
And now you're on board with the Knights Old Boys, the Once a Night community,
Yes.
which is just phenomenal. We love having the old boys around. Was that connection always there while you were in France, or was it more when you came back, you started getting involved in the club again after a few years away?
So as a player, we loved Old Boys Day. We loved being a part of it, that last home game of the year, seeing the Old Boys there, and I was always a big part of getting in and chatting to the former players, and then it was just natural as soon as I got back to be involved in the Old Boys and enjoy the day, the last home game of the year. And then more recently, with our leader Steve Crow and some great guys, we've decided to join the board together to help continuing this. It's got a great reputation, the Knights Old Boys, right across the league, and we just want to try and keep taking it forward.
And especially because there is actually, especially for once a night, and something that Liam and I will also be at this Sunday for State of Origin. Has the Knights Old Boys charity event, which is for the Mark Hughes Foundation this year, and that will be at Central Bar at what time are we kicking off?
I think it's 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
So you can jump on it's on the Mark Hughes Foundation Facebook, and it's on the Knights Old Boys Facebook, all the details, and it's going to be an awesome afternoon. If you can't get to the game, I would not want to be anywhere else. You boys are going to be running the show. Massive screen. And I'll tell you what I'm excited about hearing is Brett Mullins. That bloke was a champion.
Yeah, we've got a couple of guest
Brett
speakers.
Mullins, what a player.
Yeah.
Having him there. We're going to have blokes like Adam Muir, Ben Cross. We're going to have lots of the Knights Old Boys there. And we're just gonna have fun. You know, you're gonna be able to buy doubles. You know the old doubles you get at the footy.
Yeah,
They're bringing back doubles.
The doubles are going to be there.
Excellent.
You know, I think it's about $60. You get food and about 4 beers. So really encouraging people to please get online and check it out. Where can you get it on?
Oh, Mosh tickets.
Mosh tickets.
Moshtix.com.au.
Moshtix.
Just
There
look
it
up the best Sunday session ever, State of Origin 2 at Central Bar. Now, Boozey, I don't know if you've clearly never watched Origin with Nagy and I, but mate, you're in for a treat. You are in for an absolute
What can
treat.
I expect?
Well, Liam gets. I sort of find myself as a bit of a Liam minder. It starts off for about the same level, but your excitement sort of supersedes mine, and then I sort of end up trying to look after you a little bit.
It's a lot of yelling interspersed with occasional note taking.
And is Liam? I'm thinking face paint.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And lift up the jersey with the initials of players and that on it. None of
I'm
that?
more. I'll wear my Origin jersey with a nice classy jacket over it that always has to be dry cleaned the next day.
Classy. Yeah,
We try to class it up a bit.
yeah.
He's a sweater.
You can polish a turd. Who would have thought? But we try to polish it up.
But no, it's going to be good. It's a Sunday night game. We're up 1-0 in the series. I think it's going to be a bit of fun.
As you mentioned, we've got there's Brett Mullins, Adam Muir, Ben Cross, and obviously yourself.
I'll be there, and there's a lot of old ex-Knights boys going to be there. So it's going to be a really good, fun night just to come and have a drink. Massive big screen. You boys will be there, and we'll have some fun.
I can't remember the last time that Origin was on a Sunday as well. There's so many, so often because it's been on this Wednesday night, sort of middle of the week. Yeah, I'll be taking Monday off. I know that, but it's
it was on the last time it was on was 2001 because funnily enough that was the year I played, and that was a Sunday night, so I remember that. So it's something different. We're all used to those Wednesday nights, but it's going to make it a long week at work if you're going to have a night on the slops, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. It's going to be a big one. But what a way to start it off, though. I'm glad you mentioned 2001 Boozey. Now, that was your Origin series.
Yeah.
Leading up to this series, you've obviously played with Freddie in that series.
Yes.
Did you ever see anything in him then that might have pointed out where he's going to now as the coach of the side? Or because he always came across a bit different, didn't seem like he'd be coaching-minded.
Yeah.
It's kind of an interesting...
Yeah, I remember walking on the team bus once and I wasn't sure where to sit, and he said, sit there. So there was a bit of leadership there. Freddie, look, he's got his quirks, but he's a leader and he's someone everyone looks up to. And it's really gelling with the players. I was just talking to Danny Vaderis on my way here. He's the assistant coach, and they're a really happy camp. You're always happy when you're winning, I guess.
Yeah.
But no, Freddie is definitely a leader, and I think he's picked good young fellas that we all like to watch. And I think it's a side that New South Wales can really take to and love for the next few years.
And sounds like the bus trip will be very well organised. Everyone will know where they're sitting and when and all that. That's very good.
Well, yeah, it's I'm actually lucky enough to be going into the camp tomorrow night. So I'm looking forward to that. And Freddie's invited me in just to chat and see the boys. So I'll look forward to getting in amongst that.
Nice. Now, have you got any particular players you're going to pull aside, have a chat to, maybe give some advice?
Well, look, I might have a word to Josh Adokar. He ran about 400 metres on Sunday. I might say, mate, you haven't looked after us there. Hey, how quick is he?
Mate, he's unbelievable.
Oh, he's a champion.
He still looks like he's jogging too.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see him hit full pace.
What a mover.
Yeah.
He's a racehorse, an absolute racehorse.
He is a sprinter. But they're great young fellas, and I'll be, it's quite an honour to be asked to go in. So I'll be a little nervous in how I go about talking to the boys, but. I'm just there to tell my story, where I've been, what I'm about, and I'm not there to motivate them or tell them how to play footy, but it'll be good to go and have a chat.
Yeah, and that 3-game series, it was your only series, and it was kind of, the Alfie Langer fairy tale felt like it overshadowed anything New South Wales could have done.
Yeah.
Mate, they've stitched you up. What happened?
I did say to Wayne Bennett that I did fairly cheated me out of my rep career. It was first game up in Lang Park. I was warned about how loud it was and how noisy and fast, and I ran out there and it was just this noise that I'll never forget, and it was so loud. And then before I knew it, I'm at fullback, and Lottie Jakiri's burst through and he scored, and the Queenslanders are all over him, and I'm on the deck and thought, oh, here we go, this is going to be a big night. And they got on top of us and they did really well. Game 2 in Sydney, different ball game. We won about 28-8 or 4. We were all over them, so feeling confident going into Game 3, and they've called the SOS for Alan Langer to come back from England, who'd been playing overseas, and he came back and just did amazingly well. And yeah, the rest was history. We got beat 2-1. So it's a tough game, Origin. Hats off to these people that play so many games to get yourself up every time, and it's a tough game.
And that's it. We constantly hear about, the step up to Origin. How did it feel? A young bloke from Curry stepping out, like you said, packed Lang Park in front of Queensland. It must have been just something else.
Oh, it was surreal. Like I didn't really expect it. A few injuries went my way to get me that opening to start with, and I was just thinking, this is unbelievable to be here. And yeah, just surreal getting out there and you're singing the national anthem. And it is a quick game. Like club game, you'll get time to have a look at the clock and see, when are we finished? How long we got to go? All that stuff. But Origin, it's all buzz quick. So, but it's a tough game.
I have to keep reminding myself when I see you in that 2001 you're playing fullback as well, because I always sort of knew you as more of a centre wing.
Yeah.
Was that like something that you were expecting at the time?
Well, I was playing some really good footy at fullback at the time. A few times Robbie O through different things was out injured and stuff, so it gave me some long blocks at fullback, and I just found myself playing some really good footy at fullback. Having Andrew Johns at halfback and some great players around you, it all worked really well. So yeah, I had some really good times at fullback as well.
The Smiling Assassin, I seem to remember, it might have been a few of the headlines back in the day. It was some really great times.
Yeah.
Considering in '97. Stepping up, as you said, a 20-year-old to after not too much first grade experience at all, stepping into that grand final on that grand final stage in front with the whole country's watching you. Would you have any advice to someone like a Kalen Ponga, who's probably going to be stepping up at a very similar age, going into a really big arena for Game 2 in Origin?
Yeah, look, Kalen's got a lot more tools than I have, and he's gonna handle things. He's amazing, but I suppose you can't get overawed by things and of the occasion, and try and enjoy it the best you can. And you're a bit of an underdog at that age, so I enjoyed the feel of being the underdog, and I used to get out there and get amongst these bigger name guys that I'd grown up even supporting myself. So I felt like I was that underdog. Look, when I was 18, I was playing park football at Curry. 18 months later, I'm doing a lap around the Sydney Football Stadium as a premiership winner. So, life can change really quick, fellas, and I know that better than anyone, because I know my life changed really quickly in the wrong direction about 4 or 5 years ago. But as a youngster, my life changed really quickly, and you make your own luck in life, and I put myself in and around things to get that luck, and I finally got there as a under 21s, as a 19-year-old, but then by the time I was 20, I'd won a premiership. So, wow, it was just, this is unbelievable.
Incredible.
I'm glad you used the words New South Wales and underdogs in the same sentence, because I remember growing up, every year around Origin time, I was terrified. It was always, we're coming up against this unstoppable Queensland side before the dynasty. But now you go back and read the media, it's always Queensland, always the underdogs.
Yeah.
Just an interesting little note that I'm really pissed off that they pull every year. But there were some hard years for New South Wales, coming into this series, just feeling dread at this, behemoth that is Queensland Rugby League. And you went up against it, played against it on the field. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, look, we've all sat back and you look at the New South Wales side and you look at people to blame or why are we losing these these series. But I don't look at the Blues team. I more look at the Queensland team, and I just say that wow, this bloke, they're really amazing generation players, and that's the reason why Queensland have had this success. And fortunately for New South Wales, they're losing the Jonathan Thurstons and the Cameron Smiths all at once. So this is just a wonderful opportunity for us to start writing our own little bit of history.
That's it. I think this Origin preseason is the year I found God. When those three retired, I returned to the church.
There is a God.
I got to ask, being back around the club again for the last couple of years and seeing the hardest years that the club has gone through, and especially the last three, and the change that with all the new faces, new administration, new coaches. How do you see it on the inside right now with Brownie and Moons and the likes of, and players like you, people like yourself and Crowe being back around the club? What's the feel around the club?
Yeah, look, I think first and foremost, the big thing was the West Group. Phil Gardner and the West Group taking over to add that professionalism. They know how to make things work, and I think it's just so great to have them that kind of backing behind us. So we've finally got our, and I always say, you say that winning starts in the front office. Well, our front office is starting to win now because we've got that type of backing. I'm a huge fan of what Moons and Nathan Brown are doing. They've gone through some really tough times, and they haven't rushed in and bought journeymen just to save themselves. They've waited and they've been patient, and they've made sure they've made the right buys for the club and not just for their own careers. And I admire them for that. And slowly but surely the jigsaw puzzles come together. It's been a huge blow to have Mitchell Pearce injured for this long term to their plan, but that's footy. And there's no doubt about it, they're in the hunt for one or two more, high caliber players. But if we can pull off one or two high caliber players, I think we're right there. Yeah, so I think it's a great time to be a Knights supporter. We've still got our ups and downs, we know that, but I think our good days are coming.
Absolutely.
I'm very excited for it.
Yeah.
Now, we know your time's short, and we really appreciate you coming on tonight. But I got to ask, there's always been a question that I've been itching to ask, because we've talked to some players that played in the 97 grand final. We talked to some players played in 01. You've played in both.
Yeah.
Is it like asking which is your favourite child? Because which is your favourite grand final out of the two?
Gee, it is really hard. That's probably the boring answer, is that it is hard. But I suppose it was just special, I think, for the first time Newcastle won a premiership. Like it was 97. There was a few things going on in the town. BHP, there was problems there. And, the Knights had been in for 10 years. And the euphoria around that victory is something that none of us will forget. And, you remember where you were that day. Everyone does, because it was just such a momentum occasion that to be a part of, and to do it with, someone like Paul Harrigan, Tony Butterfield, Mark Glanville, guys that have been there from the start too. It was special. So yeah, it was just it's an amazing special memory to have. And we did our 20-year reunion last year, so there's a lot of reminiscing on that. And it's been good. I often say that I've had brain surgery and that, and people ask me, is there any after effects? Well, it's a weird sort of, and I've spoken to my doctor about it, but the only thing I said with my memory is I've forgotten about all the missed tackles and all drop balls that I've done, and the doctor doesn't know how to explain it, but I remember the good stuff even better too. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, but that's just the side effect of my surgery.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's not a bad side effect.
And in saying that, not 2001 boys, full competition.
Yep.
I'd been in first grade 4 or 5 years. I was feeling a real part of it. I was a bit of a blow-in 97. I felt a part of it in 2001. So, wow, that was awesome as well.
Well,
Yeah.
far from being a blow-in, I've been told that you were actually the longest-serving member of the Mad Monday in 97. You were the last one standing. There was something I think
Yes.
happened at the Ducks and Nuts.
Oh, yes. Look, that was an amazing party and time, and I was just on the edge, just enjoying it, hanging back. I wasn't going too hard, but I didn't want to go home either. I was enjoying the whole thing, and there was a point where the big chief fell asleep on a stool, and no one could get to the toilet, and it was 4 or 5 in the morning, so I thought it was my chance to help the chief out. So I went to the stool and I put his arm over me and I got him up. I know what it would have looked like. I couldn't see it, but I reckon we looked like the Winfield Cup. And I'm getting the big fella out, and we go through. And as we're doing it, everyone lines the thing, and they're actually giving a big cheer to their leader, Chief, which was it was an emotional moment. And we're going through there clapping. Then we get out the doors, and we've sort of fallen. And thankfully, I've manoeuvred Chief's body in front of me onto the pavement so I could use him as a cushion. And we fell down and I packed him in a cab. But look, just going on about Chief, where do I start? He's an ambassador for our foundation, just the greatest leader I've ever been associated with, and great person. And so lucky to have had Chief back then as a youngster, and now I've got him right next to me by my side now to help with everything I'm doing with the foundation and with the battle that I've got.
And that's a huge guy you've helped out by your shoulders, which, like a brown snake, my ass. He's enormous, and you managed to get him out. I was actually speaking to an Uber driver on the way to the game last weekend. He's a gentleman who'd competed in the Paralympics, and he said he took a $600 cab ride home from Parramatta to watch the Screaming Jets play after the grand final, to spend the whole week partying. He said it was just unbelievable. He said it was the best time to ever be in Newcastle.
What a story, yeah. There's so many fun, good stories. And you'll always hear a story, won't you? You'll be at a pub and a bar and 97 will come up, or 2001, and there's always a good story, and it's good memories. But hopefully we've got some new memories, fellas, to write up. This Knights team, there's something will happen over the next couple of years.
We can't thank you so much. Can't thank you enough for coming in, Hughesy. It's honestly been a real dream come true for me. And that 97...
And me.
And you as well, Liam.
Thank you, Nagy.
It's a dream every week with you, Liam.
That's it. Talking about footy every week is a dream come
Yeah,
true.
it is. It's great. And congratulations on the job you do, boys. You're doing a great job. And to all those millions of listeners out there, if you want to come on Sunday night, please do.
Yeah.
Come and see me and the boys, and we'll have a fun night.
It's going to be some stories. Going to watch some footy. It's going to be fantastic.
What more could you want?
Hughesy, Boozey, I can't thank you enough for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Pleasure,
Cheers,
boys.
Mate. Cheers, mate.
Cheers,
Thank you
mate.
very much.
Thanks, boys.
That was awesome.
Great job, boys.
Thank you so much,
Thank
mate.
you
That
so
was-
much.
No worries.
Why did you put your shirt back on underneath it?
It's because it was cold. It's freezing in here. Welcome back to the second half of the Joust. Wasn't that just an absolute pleasure to have someone of that? You know, I've always looked up to Boozey. Obviously 2 premierships, but it was to have him right here, and we've done some stuff with him before. But to have him in the garage was an absolute.
Absolutely. I mean, he was obviously a favourite growing up. You know, it's Boozey. He was a formative member of the Knights team that I grew up with, and to be able to sit here and have a chat with him about footy, hey, this is the dream. It's unbelievable.
I think it was always my mum's favourite as well. She always spoke fondly of him.
Yeah, my mum loved Mal Meninga. Big Malcolm.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
But if you want to see any more of Mark Hughes and support the Mark Hughes Foundation, please head down to Central Bar. We've got a link down to the tickets for Mosh tickets as well. Here's some more Origin talk or Origin tales, and just watch some footy with some great blokes. So I'm excited.
And
for
us.
It. And us. It's some great blokes and
us.
us. So there's a bit of a contrast. You got to take the rough with the smooth.
Absolutely.
But Liam, now there was a game also on the weekend.
Alas, Nagy, there was.
Now you were there. I watched it at the Commonwealth Hotel. I had a lovely time there, except for the result. It was, I had the obviously
Great food, cold beer, numerous screens. What more could you want to watch footy?
It was the perfect venue. I had a absolutely lovely time there with Stu and Kath. It was fantastic. But you were at the game now.
Yes.
Liam. Now walk me through what it was about -4.
It was cold. Although in the sun it actually wasn't too bad. I was over there on the Andrew John stand. Thank you, Dad, for lending me your member ticket. So I was over there on the Andrew John stand. Obviously not as big a crowd as I thought there would be.
14,000,
14,000 and a half, but still a very vocal crowd.
Yeah.
Not all the vocals were things I agreed with. Not everything I heard were positions I could endorse nor could repeat on this family show. But, still plenty of support behind the boys, which was good to see.
28-10, obviously going down without coming away with the chockies. And it for the first 20 minutes, seems like it was a bit of an arm wrestle. We threw some stuff at them. They came back. We defended well for that first 20, but then it fell away. Watching on the commentary, great audio there at the Commonwealth Hotel as well, if you're watching sport. And you could hear, I think it was Warren Smith, the commentator, say that how well the Knights are defending, and they seem to be deflecting the Storm attack right as was it Curtis Scott? No, the man. What's it?
Riley Jacks.
Riley Jacks,
Canadian international Riley Jacks.
Yeah, right as he went over, pretty much untouched. So it was almost the commentator's curse.
Well, on the rewatch, we did get hit with the commentator's curse. Every time they complimented the Knights, the Melbourne Storm scored immediately.
Yeah. Well,
so
there you go.
cheers, boys. Thank you very much.
We might prefer it if we played a game with no commentators. Maybe that's something that the Knights could look into.
I think get rid of the cameras too.
Just maybe turn the lights off as well. Play in the dark. That could be our advantage.
There you go, playing in the dark. That's where we go from here.
Glow in the dark ball, maybe. Because you can play night golf with a glow in the dark ball.
What about glow in the dark jerseys? How would you see the opposition?
Well, yeah, I suppose. Yeah, well, that's the fun of it. Are you in space? Are you not? Are you being tackled by the opposition? Are you being tackled by your own team?
Look, it's only early stages, Nagy. Obviously, just as we're still workshopping this, but look, we'll get Todd on the phone.
We'll
get Greenberg on the phone after this.
We'll give him a call after this. Now,
He's
Liam,
a listener of the show.
speaking of listeners for the show, your hats off for this week, Liam.
My hat's off for this week, and look, we've done this so many times throughout the year, but we're going to do it again. It's the Pong.
Now,
Ladies and gentlemen, the Pong.
Speaking of hashtag Pong Strong, big shout out to Andre, the father of the Pong.
Yes, Papapong, avid listener of the show. Good to hear from you, Andre. Thanks for being a fan of the show. And we've got a little sound, I think, for Papapong.
Well, being the creator of the Pong, I think it's only fair that he gets a bit more of a oomph, and it's thank you, Andre. he gets a real pump.
That's it. Pong Strong didn't come from nowhere, baby.
That's right. No, big shout out to Andre. Thank you very much for listening. But no, obviously we didn't come away with the chockies, but it was a solid effort from Kalen Ponga, scoring a try close to the line, breaking the line a couple of times. He just looked dangerous.
He did. His stats looked ridiculous for a game where we obviously didn't come away with the chockies. Stats obviously courtesy of our dear friend in... But the stats make for glorious reading. He had obviously that try, ran for 207 metres. He made 2 line breaks, 14 tackle busts. The kid's just untackleable.
Yeah.
And 1 offload. So very good stats from the Pong. But at times it did kind of feel like Newcastle haven't got out of this the Ponga show effect where it's kind of throw it to Kayla and see what he can do, which is a lot to put on a young player. And I feel like at a few times, not through lack of trying, he may have picked the wrong option.
Yeah.
But besides that, he was phenomenal. And he said in an interview with Barry Toohey in today's Herald that he went out there with a mind to create. He went out trying to create stuff, trying to make things happen. And he said he doesn't think he overplayed his hand, but maybe he tried to create too much, which I think is a bit of a reflection on the side we got at the moment now, where he feels like he has to take that responsibility because the other players around him, especially in the back line, maybe aren't able to, and it's putting a lot of pressure on him, but so far he's handling it with aplomb.
Yeah, look, there is a bit of throw it to Kalen and see if he can sprinkle some magic on the pudding. And it's not working for us every time, but it's working for us like a third of the time, and that's just as bad because it's like rolling the die every time like he gets the ball. You're like, maybe, like we know that he might be in his in goal. He's got 6 to beat, but he could probably do it. So it's disappointing to see that much pressure on the young fellow. I'd like to see more of an equal distribution but there was mistakes. There was mistakes right through. None of the passes seemed to stick in key moments. A few decisions from the cog. From Jack Cogger just didn't seem to be like we definitely got out game managed at every point. And for that, the cog probably gets my hats back on. He went to that sort of bomb quite a lot, and he didn't really. I don't know, kicking choices. Look, this is a fella that probably was going to see with Mitchell Pearce and Connor Watson, Brock Lamb in front of him, that was going to play most of his days in reserve grade, and there was big calls for him to come up and play. And look, I don't. Not to say I don't like him. I think
I'm sure he's a lovely fellow.
He's a lovely guy. Look, but look, he does show that he's got the weight of a team on his shoulders, making these key decisions on the 5th and 4th tackle, and obviously Connor Watson, can probably share this. Share the responsibility a little bit because he obviously goes to that run down the blind, and that came off also very early in the second half, but then he threw the ball on the ground again. Exactly,
and that was kind of the story of the night's night, even from early in the game when we were attacking Melbourne's line. Anytime we'd get into their 20-metre zone, there was a mistake.
Yeah.
We'd get back there, we'd work our asses off. There was another error. There was so many errors in the game. It was 15 errors to the Knights. We only ended with a 66% completion rate. Which,
66.
Given that we'd actually been topping the NRL for completion rates leading up to this game, it's just, I don't know, the boys they looked off. There was something in the lead up to that game that must have happened. They were just off, putting passes down, easy passes going to the feet. It just was an unpolished performance.
Yeah.
And I think, again, that comes a lot from the inexperience of the side. Nathan Brown came out and said in his Q&A after the re-signing of the contract, more to come on that in the news, that, the better players will back up 5-6 games in a row. At the moment, what we're seeing from these younger guys, we'll have 2 or 3 good games, which I think we can safely say that Parramatta was a great game. I think we can safely say that the Roosters was a good game. We played quite well, but now you've got that third game where we've just fallen off the pace a bit because the young guys aren't quite equipped yet to handle consistency.
Now, obviously, it was coming up really hard run at home, even though it was all these home games in a row, but coming up against the Roosters, which has always had the sort of had it won over on us, you know what I mean, for years.
It had the wood on us.
The wood. I couldn't think. I was going to say the blanket. They haven't had the blanket over on us.
No, I don't think anyone's had the blanket over on us. It's not a saying.
The pillow over on us? Maybe like they're suffocating us.
Well, that felt like Melbourne's game plan. That's exactly what they did.
They were suffocating us.
But why the wood on us? Who's piling wood on people?
I'm not sure. But it's effective. It seems to be.
Apparently it works because it's stuck.
It's stuck. Yeah, the wood is stuck. Unlike our passes that day.
Unlike our passes.
It was disappointing to see. Liam, do you have a hats back on? Or are you going to go with the cog as well?
I'm going to stick with the cog as well. Look, and again, we can't be blaming the cog too badly for this. He's a young bloke. He's not prepared. I don't think at the start of the season It was part of Brownie's game plan to be playing him for extended periods.
Yeah.
And due to injury, he's kind of been thrown in as necessary.
Thrust,
If you will,
yeah.
into the field of play. And yeah, I mean, it's hard for a young bloke like that to fill the boots of Mitchell Pearce. So as I'm giving this hats off, but again, I don't like it.
Yeah, no, I don't like it. Your hat's back on this
Don't
week.
give me my hats back on to Jack Cogger, but I'm not happy to do it. I just want the young bloke to do really well. Even though, he's leaving for the Bulldogs at the end of the season, you still want to see him succeed in a Newcastle jersey.
I was really hoping we'd back up that performance. Not that I was hoping for wins against the Roosters of the Storm, but I was really hoping that they would play another Roosters-esque kind of game that would see like some real promise, and then we could really go in firm to the next three, which I think is the Titans, Parramatta, and Bulldogs, all down the bottom of the ladder. And I really think, we lost to the Titans earlier this season. Those kinds of games that we lost to the Titans and also we should have won that. They're the ones that count now, because now all the pressure is on us. I think we've won one of our last 6. All the pressure is now to win the next 3 games if we want to keep the season alive. We're in the season alive talk now, which
Mathematical chances, they call them.
Oh,
we have a
I hate
mathematical chance of making the 8, Nagy.
I hate it, but we have a bye.
That's because you hate mathematics.
I do. I'm more of a letters man.
I've read your notes. You're not a
I'm
letters man.
Thank you for pointing that out. I'm not a letters or numbers man. I'm more of a... Is there anything else that's important in life? No, not really.
No.
They all base us back off those two.
I did like... you remember Letters and Numbers, the game show that was on the ABC?
Oh, it was
Hosted
fantastic.
by Richard Moorcroft.
Oh.
My absolute favourite of all time.
There was rarely... about 2011, there was rarely a time that I'd miss the conundrum.
Oh, it's wonderful. And look, if it, obviously it's always... In my life, wanted to be talking about footy. If it wasn't talking about footy, I wanted to be Richard Moorcroft. He was the greatest newsreader of all time.
I thought it was actually... I thought that show came back on television the other day. Or it might have been a year ago. I don't know. But I was like, oh, it's back. It's terrific. It's great because Richard Moorcroft doesn't age. And then and then it was like, oh, you won the... Because they give away a dictionary or something like
Yes.
that. And it was like... And they said the thing was like 2013. And I was like, damn it. Still cancelled. They're showing repeats, but they're just as good. But Liam...
Just as good the second time around.
We're digressing.
We digress, as we tend to do.
But it look... 28-10. Wasn't an absolute flogging, but definitely I didn't feel like Melbourne got out of first gear.
Absolutely not.
So it was disappointing to see them wear us down. Yeah, look, we got a good run of penalties there. We need to be scoring more points. Scoring more points at home.
Absolutely. Couldn't capitalise. We need to be capitalising.
We defended well against the Roosters and against the Storm. I think the only way is you make them play catch-up footy. You make them play and push their hand a little bit. But Liam, we don't want to dwell too much because we have a very exciting, few games to come up. And we have the week off as well, so they can just regather. And every week we're getting a little bit closer to Mitchell Pearce. Please don't injure yourself again.
Friday the 13th, he'll be back, but talks he could be back even earlier for the Bulldogs game in 2 weeks? Yes.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
That'd be great. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Now, Liam, there's a lot to cover, so I think we better... what's that? The news? Oh. Now, a lot to cover in the news. Liam, you want to take it away?
Oh, it's a big news section this week. First of all, in the news, Brownie has re-signed on a absolutely groundbreaking, never seen before style of contract for an NRL coach. Nagy, do you know the details of this?
Yeah, well, it was what was referred to as an evergreen contract. Now, Liam, you're quite the horticulturalist yourself. You want to walk us through what an evergreen contract might be?
Yes, an evergreen tree is one that does not lose its leaves in the wintertime. That would, in fact, be a deciduous tree. And funnily enough, deciduous is our word of the week.
Thank you for all playing at home.
Thank you for playing at home. Deciduous, word of the week. No, but Brownie's evergreen contract, to sum it up in its most basic parts, he's not signed on for a set term, as most coaches usually would. You'll see a 3-year deal, a 4-year deal, a 5-year deal, a 2-year deal if you're just coming out of reserve grade.
Sure.
But basically, the way the contract works is that Brownie's now signed on for an indefinite period, and built into that contract are some key performance indicators that will indicate whether or not he stays at the club. So it's based on the performance of the team, not an arbitrary time limit. I absolutely love it. I think it's, for a rebuild, putting an arbitrary term limit on a coach is just asking for pressure. It's just asking for shortcuts. It's asking for things to be done in the wrong manner. By saying to Brownie, you've got the time to do this, do it in the manner you think you need to, and we're not going to demand in 2 years, if you need another 6 months, we're not going to demand, oh, well, you've taken 2 years, get out and we'll start again. And it reminds me of the original I want to say contract, but the original tenure of Wayne Bennett at
Yeah.
the Brisbane Broncos. Now, Rugby League Digest, great podcast. Give it a listen if you can. Did a series about the introduction of the Brisbane Broncos to the New South Wales Rugby League, as it was
Yeah.
called at the time. And from what I deduced from that story is that Wayne Bennett never actually signed a contract to coach the Broncos. He
No.
never signed a contract.
Just
It was
turned up on the day.
handshake agreement.
Yeah.
He turned up on the day and just did it for years. There was no term limit. There was no, Wayne, you're here for 3 years. See what you can do. It was just, Wayne, you're here. You're Brisbane's coach. You've got time. Do what you need to do. And it led to that golden run
Dynasty.
of 6 premierships. It led to, the Broncos becoming an absolute powerhouse of rugby league.
Yeah.
And, obviously it's very different circumstances. Things change.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it really strikes me as that kind of situation. I think it's going to make Brownie's job a lot easier, not having to worry regularly about where he's going to be in 2 years, 3 years. He can just focus on the job. I love it. I say, Phil Gardner, thank you very much. I think it's a great thing to do. And
also it is. It also reminds me of that with the new contract for Brownie, that at very first of the season gets 3.5 smiling brownies.
that's a lot of smiling brownies. What a wonderful achievement.
3.5, and that's
That's
huge.
really high
That's huge at that scale.
on the smiling brownie scale.
And I think it's our first smiling brownies this year.
It is. Well done, Nathan, for earning your own smiles back to you. Now, carrying on with the news. And we're going to touch on this a bit more in the sack a bit later on. Now, Pong, he's been named. He's been named in the Origin squad in the number 14 jersey, so we're led to believe. It's only been released as a squad.
Yeah.
But Michael Morgan out with, I believe, a torn bicep.
Yeah.
Anthony Milford has been dropped and will play for Samoa in the rep round. So it looks like the Pong's going to take that number 14.
The dreaded number 14 jersey of Queensland, the one that New South Wales have been trying to emulate for about the last 20 years. It's
Which is a bit silly because it only really worked for Cooper Cronk.
Well, no, then it worked for Matt Bowen as well when he scored in Game 1, 2005.
Oh, that was one try.
Well, that's the thing. They all just have these little one. It didn't work for Daly Cherry Evans. That's why-
didn't.
That's why it didn't work. Daly.
Cop that.
Is that even
Cherry.
yeah. Evans. Get one name. You fool. Sorry, big chat. But he's a big fan of the show.
He
Daly
loves the
Cherry.
show,
Yeah.
Daly. Cheers. Thank you for listening, Daly. We're a huge fan of yours as well.
But no, it's interesting. No, I'm not. I was pretending.
I know, but
was-
he listens, and I didn't want to
I was-
tear him down too bad.
I was acting. Now, but Liam, it's that 14 jersey. I like how they're going to bring Ponga off the bench purely being a Knight supporter because he's not there. That fullback, because he weighs about, what does he weigh? I don't know, 68 kilos ringing wet.
It's not much.
Not much at all, especially when you're soaked as well because the water will carry weight.
Water's heavy.
Water's heavy, yeah. But I like it how he's not going to be there for the brunt. They're going to try to put him in and really maximise his. Look, I don't like this. I like the fact that they're protecting him a little. That's what I like. As a Knights fan, I like it. But it's going to be good to see the Pong. Hopefully, he grows from this and it brings that form back to the Knights. But at the same time, he's not out there copping the knocks and the biffs and having the huge forwards of New South Wales running clean over him.
Well, not the Biffs anymore. Thank you, Nate Miles.
Yeah.
Now, further to the news. Rep round has not left the Knights untouched at all. Slade Griffin Herman SASA also selected for the New Zealand team.
Herman SASA?
Herman SASA, the man so nice they named him Herman,
yeah.
selected for New Zealand to play in Denver in an historic test match, first in the USA, I think,
Yeah.
against the England somethings. What are they called? The England Crosses?
England Lions? No.
No.
England.
That's Union.
Well, I thought that was the same thing, isn't it? Surely.
The England Backpackers.
Sure, that's about what they are all over the world. That's how they're known.
Yeah.
The England bartenders that are working illegally. No, but Liam, that's going to be interesting. I did feel for Danny Levi a little bit. Look, as a change of coach, I think it's important to look just to put it into perspective. For Danny Levi, he's been beaten out by this new recruit by the Knights, who's someone who didn't play a lot of first grade for his starting number 9 position. But look, he was always the New Zealand hooker. And he always had that. Well, at least I'm going to play for New Zealand. But he was left out of that side for Slade Griffin. So also, I hear that Slade Griffin has moved into his house, and that's who Danny Levi's children talk to now as well. Little piece of
So
information.
it's just new Danny.
New Danny. He's also driving his car. I don't know. I saw Danny Levi walking to training recently. No, look, I feel for Danny Levi, but really it's the change of coach. We've got Maguire in there now, and before, when it was the previous coach, I believe it was
David Kidwell.
David Kidwell. I think that was David Kidwell.
Notoriously bad coach.
Yeah, he's not good. He put that hit on Peterson receiver that one time, and Willie Mason.
William
Actually,
Mason, yeah.
wasn't too bad with big hits. But I think for him, he was Danny Levi was his pick. So now because Isaac Luke is also part of that side, I think you'll see Isaac Luke starting for New Zealand.
Which makes sense. Isaac Luke's in some wonderful form, but obviously this is also a team that's been ravaged by rep retirements and announcements of unavailabilities. The whole Denver test has been a bit of a stick in the side of the New Zealand Rugby League, and I think they've had 3 players retire: Mannering, Madalino, Packer. They've had 4 players declare their unavailabilities: Sean Johnson, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, and another fella from the Warriors.
Roger said
Jared
no?
Beale and Tohu Harris.
Who have they got?
All 4 of those from the Warriors all said no.
Yeah.
So
Is it just too far to travel?
it's not.
Well, it's in Denver.
It's in Denver. It's a flight. You get to eat on the flight, you have a few wines, watch movies. It's very relaxing. I love flying.
It sounds like if he went if Slade Griffin went home to his family and said, "I've been picked for New Zealand. I'm playing." They'll be like, "Great. Where is it? Is it is it in Auckland? Is it in Wellington? Sure, it might be in Christchurch. No, it's in Denver."
Now, Slade actually addressed that in the press. They said, Slade, how do you feel about travelling to Denver to play for the Kiwis? And he said, mate, Mike called me. Madge, I think they call him.
Madge, yeah.
He said, Madge called me. Mate, I said to him, I'll play in bloody Antarctica if I have
like
to
that.
get this test jersey. I think that's good of Slade, obviously. And we talk about the players that have been out for this test.
Yeah.
But Slade, Griffin and Herman SCSE absolutely deserve their spots in that squad. I think
Standards.
Slade's been one of our best, really shoring up the side, even though it's been a tough run. I thought actually on the weekend he was very good. Him against Cameron Smith was a hell of a matchup, and he was on Smith every time. Every time Cameron Smith would do anything with the ball, Slade was there. He was trying his best to shut him down and lock him up. And Herman's been, doing his best to lead from the front in amongst a very young and inexperienced forward pack. I think they've both been 2 of our absolute best, and I think they really deserve this. But, we'll see how it goes.
It's going to be an interesting thing to see all the rep games this weekend. But
I love rep round. But more out of the news as well. Lachlan Fitzgibbon, poor Lockie Fitz, we love him with all our hearts.
Yeah.
But he's done the classic Newcastle thing, and as soon as we sign a player, he's gone out and tried to kill him.
Yeah,
he's been found guilty by... No, he's put on report for a crusher tackle against New Knights recruit Timothy Glasby.
Yes.
Welcome, Tim.
Yeah.
Lockie's going to try and break your neck.
Welcome to McDonald Jones, Tim.
He's been cited for a crusher tackle.
1 game.
He will face a 1-game suspension with the early plea,
They'll
or 2 games if not. But they'll take it.
It was about as clear as a crusher tackle as you could see.
Yeah.
Poor old Lockie Fitz. Usually you wouldn't hurt a fly, wouldn't crush a grape, but instead he's crushed a full man spine into the ground. A little bit mismatched of where his aggression is going, but
we still love him.
We do. Lockie Fitz, most handsome man in that Newcastle side.
Absolutely. Big fan of the show too.
Huge
Cheers,
fan.
Lockie.
Thank you very much, Liam. I think it's about that time
For Origin talk.
Oh, yeah,
Let's talk
sorry.
Origin before we talk sack.
Go.
I want to talk footy.
All right, go,
now,
go.
news from Origin. RCG out with a broken jaw 6 to 8 weeks, so he will miss game 2, probably game 3 as well. Ryan James, Matt Pryor, and
where did Pryor come from?
Luke Keary have been called in. Now, Ryan James I get. He's kind of been on the cusp of selection for the last few years. His form this year with the Titans has been pretty good. Hasn't been the form that he's been showing in the last 2 years, but I feel like this is a really deserved call-up for Ryan James. I think he'll add a lot in the middle. He'll be great. I'm not worried about him.
I can't. Surely he's going to be picked over Matt Pryor. Not that anything wrong with Matt Pryor, but I don't think he's playing in that 2016 kind of form that really when he, if he got selected then, I'm like, he's playing great. Now it's almost like just a big FU to Fafita, saying, look, we're going to pick you, mate. This is how much we don't like you. We're just going to pick that other guy that you play with. But it's strange.
It's a strange pick. I think honestly, knowing Matt Pryor, what he does on the field. I don't know him, sorry. I don't know why I said that. But knowing what it is he does on the field and offers to... Matt, I'd love to catch up for a beer if you're free, man.
Yeah.
I think he'll really add a lot to the Blues.
Yeah.
He's got experience. He's a premiership winner. He's been just an immensely consistent prop over the last 5, 6, 7 years. And I think in amongst all the youth, that's what Freddie needs. So I think he's bringing him in as a bit of an experienced head, even though he has no experience playing representative football.
Yeah, but he's on the other side of 30. Props around that age, they're not scared of anything. You know what I mean? Like they don't have that. Well, I better look after myself. There's like, well, both my knees are busted. I'm just gonna run. So
which is good. That's kind of what you need in Origin sometimes. Luke Keary.
Yeah.
What do you think about Luke?
Well, he's tiny. He's a 12-year-old boy. He's but that makes me wonder: is there something? Is it back up for Maloney?
He's backing up for Maloney, who I believe suffered a nerve to his sciatic.
Ooh.
It's a bit of a sciatic nerve injury that's kind of a flare-up. So it's either he could be fine or he could be playing in a lot of pain. Knowing Jimmy Malone, he doesn't care and he'll play footy and he'll do a great job anyway. So Kiri's been called in, but there's been a lot of calls about, how Kiri didn't want to play for New South Wales.
What?
What? You didn't know this?
No.
Well, he was born in Ipswich, grew up idolising Alfie Langer, moved to New South Wales when he was 10, and was basically a huge Queensland fan. Then when Queensland decided they might want to consider him, maybe New South Wales stepped in and said, no, you can't. I believe launched a legal challenge. This could all be wrong. But basically said to Luke Keary, no, you're eligible for New South Wales. He fought it and ended up the Eligibility Council, I believe they're called. It's a group of men sitting in a room wearing robes. Decided that he's from New South Wales.
Do you think we could get on that Eligibility Council? Oh, just be us being like, you want to play with Queensland? No.
You're out.
You're not.
Go away.
You can't play for anyone anymore because you wanted to play for them.
That's it. We'll have Queensland they won't have a team.
They won't have a team because they
eligible for Queensland? No. Your mum's from Malta. You're out.
You're out.
But then Fennick would never have played Origin. And he didn't. Yeah. No, he never played Origin.
Mario.
Yeah.
He's a worry about how, like he said now, he's got problems remembering things. But I think that was evident from about 2005 on the Footy Show. I don't know how.
It was because they kept blowing him up.
I don't see how they put him on television. Liam, time to open the sack. Who we got this week, Liam?
Excellent sack again this week, guys. I know, obviously, given the terrible result and the inclemency of the weather, we're not enjoying opening the sack at this time of year, but you've chipped in and thank you very much for it. Now, we're starting with Marcus James Harborn, excellent contributor to the Joust.
Excellent name.
Excellent name. I like the triple barrel with no hyphen, though.
No.
Because we've got enough hyphens.
Yeah.
So we've got a triple barrel with no hyphens. Now, Marcus asks, should we acquire Fergo for next year? Our boy Kenneth will be off contract. We may need another winger. What do you think about Fergo?
Look, he's probably the highest profile winger that's off contract at the end of the year. Apparently, that his management has approached the Knights being probably the only team willing to spend big money on an outside back. If the price is right, sign him, because if we've got to be really real about do we want to keep winning games, or do we just look? If we want to keep winning games, we got to sign talent. And look what Fergo did to us. He scored 2 tries, 1 roosters the game. He could do that for us if the price is right. Sign him.
Yep, and there was concerns of off-field trouble. He seems to have assuaged that. He's been on a booze ban. He's kind of not been a dickhead recently, so I'm warming to it.
Yeah,
I'm really warming to it, but who knows? We'll have to see. Next question is from Barry Crush. Now, this one's a bit of an existential one. Is there a disconnect between what the experts say is good rugby league and what fans like watching? We saw that our Storm crowd was down on our crowds throughout the season. What do you think? It's been interesting following what rugby league pundits and geniuses and Phil Gould have been saying about the game. And I've been very vocal on the show about how it's pissing me off, about how negatively they talk about the game. And I personally didn't think that was the feeling of a lot of the fans. Because as a fan, I disagreed with them wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
And I still loved rugby league, still going to watch. But seeing the crowd number on the weekend, is it starting to reflect in the fans?
I think you watch a good game of rugby league and you know it's a good game of rugby league. Whether your team wins or not, obviously if your team gets flogged, it's not a good game of rugby league. And even competition without talking about the ref, nearly dropped the pen. Without talking about without talking about the ref at all. So just keep it all about the footy. Go I loved was that this? Did he drop it? No, but just keep it playing on. Just keep the flow of it going. So when you look back, you go, great hits. Length of the field tries, miracle passes, that's just good footy. And that's good footy for anyone. Now it's all about tidying up the game with the referees. So I just feel like if you're not talking about the referees at the end of the game, that's a great game of footy.
But at the same time, I don't know. I think, in Barry's point, I think there is a disconnect between the experts and the fans.
Yeah.
Because they've been absolutely lambasting the game this year. I've watched a lot of really, really good rugby league this year. I've enjoyed a hell of a lot of games. Yes, there's been some stinkers, but they've been stinkers from teams who suck. So, yeah, Barry, I agree. I think the bloody analysts are dickheads. Daniel Turner. Now, Daniel, we covered this a bit earlier, but still a good question. Ponga, yes or no for Origin? Obviously, Kevy's named him, so he's a yes. Looks like he's going to be in the 14. Where does he fit in if Slater's fit? And if he's 14, where does he play when he comes on?
Well, Queensland's always been using their 14 really well. Hopefully they see him, they inject him in and he plays some good footy. As much as I don't want to see Queensland play good footy, I want to see the Pong play some good footy out there. So it's going to be an interesting time. I'd see them going to, like, I'm not sure about the rotation with the limited rotations, but I can see them probably using him maybe in the second half, maybe around that 50th minute. You bring that prop back off, you bring him on, and you say, just run.
That's it. I don't think he'll go onto the wing. That seems a wasted substitute. Kevy won't do that. I think they'll be playing him in amongst the middle, sort of a second 5'8", a bit of a link between the 5'8" and the fullback.
It's going to be interesting.
Dropping it forward. It'll be interesting to see how it pans out.
It's going to be interesting, yeah.
And backpacking off that question.
Yeah.
Not backpacking. What's the word?
Bus riding.
Bus riding off that question. Dear friend of the show, Anthony Hickling asks, who is going to deliver the bubble wrap so KP so he doesn't get hurt playing Origin? Hickling, you have nothing to worry about. I can assure you I will personally be bubble wrapping every limb on Kalen's body so he doesn't get hurt.
I'll be bubble wrapping myself as well, just in case anything could happen. You know.
Oh, absolutely. I'll bubble wrap myself, disinfect. I don't want this boy getting hurt.
No,
we
neither do I.
need this boy to play for the Knights.
Forever. We say 4-year contract. I say forever contract.
Evergreen contract, not one of these deciduous contracts everyone else is getting thrown at them.
No, that's not what we want. But Liam, what we do want to see is lots of people at the Mark Hughes Foundation once a night at Central Bar, which will be there on this Sunday, mere days away from when you're watching this. And it's going to be great. The tickets are available at the link below. And it's going to be a fantastic night. Old boys, legends of blues, and just tales and probably some beer involved there too.
And footy.
It's going to be... I was so underdone. My it was like, footy. But, you know, I've done a lot of talking tonight. But, Liam, thank you very much for joining me this week. Can't wait to see you again at some point. I seem to see you more than my girlfriend. So, and love you just as much.
She's a wonderful lady.
She is. Thank you very much, Liam. It's going to be a pleasure. I'll talk to you again soon, Jousters. And hopefully we can get a win over the bye. It's Christopher Cross. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. I was thinking Anchorman. Yeah, it's a great song.